Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
1, 2, 3, 4.
50,000 watts of pure radio magic. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. You are listening to DJ Sodza live on Zimnet Radio.
This is a Thursday, and you know what that means. It's a men's corner show with yours truly, DJ Sodza.
Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
Join DJ Sodza and his informative team live every Thursday at 9 p.m. UK time,
discussing Zimbabwean politics.
Lleno de matero, será ese nosotros, patrona como venguita, ahora es en ese curo, llene rebano, cote mate en desete, sacanán sangano, padara es no tengan, nenzera sacanaka, nosotros amunenge matora badara no tenga nenzira zatanaka nosotros amunenge matora tesale tinotora lleno de macedo será ese nosotros como venguita, ahora es en este curo, llene verano, cote más en desete, sacanán sangano, tiza ete cheupomwe, mondo eche mrenga, tesa nese vasungwa, vatinenge tabata, tiza ete cheupomwe, mondo eche mrenga, tesa nese vasungwa, vatinenge tabata, tesa ete notora, lleno de macero, será ese nosotros, patrona como venguita, ahora es en este curo, llene rebano, cote más en desete, sacanán sangano, aya neo mashoko, akata urakare, naevo mamao, vachitesesa, aya neo mashoko, akata urakare, naevo mamao, vachitesesa, tesa tinotora, lleno de matero, será ese nosotros, patrona como venguita, ahora es en este curo, llene rebano, cote más en desete, sacanán sangano. Kunenze ate masoja, se batana tote, emte moyote, nenzira sakanaka. Kunenze ate masoja, se batana tote, emte moyote, nenzira sakanaka. Matisa Tinotora Zeno de Mateo Sotera Zeno Zote Satura Kumbu Engi Taura Zeneteka Guru Jenge Mewano Kote Matende Sete Vakana Nantangano Padara Zamutinga Nenzira
Sicily, Maria Zimbabwe, my time here in the United Kingdom, 5 minutes gone after the hour of 10, and we are live. Ndichipa kutenda kunemi vanenge vakateerera kumatwema nenyika. I know some people do put ma-alama kuti wamuke. Some of them are in Australia, I'm told, right now as we speak, and it's very early hours there, and they've woken up to listen to the show. Thank you so much, guys. Right, andikuziwa last week takatukubuya nezvadzo panapa. We are not going back there. But what I would say is for some of you guys who miss a show here, what you simply have to do is go to YouTube. All my shows are there. DJ Sodza, you just search for DJ Sodza there, and all the past shows are there. And also you can go on our website www.simnetradio.com and just search for Men's Corner podcast there. It will be right there, and that's what we do. But would like you to be live, live, so that you can interact with us. If there's anything that is being said that you think, I don't think that is right, you can always call in if you wish to. My WhatsApp ID here is Zimnet Main Radio. If you are not our friend already, please do search for us, Zimnet Main Radio in one word, and I can accept you as a friend here, so you can call in and participate as well. Now, for some of you guys who just want to participate more background, you've got platform there. You can always send me a message to WhatsApp. My WhatsApp number 0798 4455 349. That's 0798 4455 349. Now, before I go any further here, there was a video that I saw with a young man from Zimbabwe in South Africa. There, a good Samaritan. So this young guy in a supermarket, the way he was dressed, it looks like he was a destitute, to be honest with you. I might be wrong with that, but the type of clothing and how dirty the clothes were, well, I thought maybe it's one of those homeless or destitutes that are just street urchins, that are just loitering in South African streets there. But this guy bought this guy some stuff. He said, go and get whatever you want in the shop, and would you believe, the first thing he asked for was for a piece of chicken. They couldn't watch it. They were so emotional about it, and all the rest of it. But anyway, I don't know what you thought about that, but we want to talk a little bit more about the announcement of the date, that the 30th of July, that's where the vote will commence, and people can go and cast their votes there as well. I'm just wondering here that we were told, especially by the MDC and also the rest of the opposition parties in Zimbabwe, that they would like reforms, before these elections. It has gone so quiet now. Why has it gone so quiet? And I also want to know what you guys think about the diaspora vote, because it looks like it has touched a lot of people's hearts. People are saying that it should be our constitutional right, even if you are residing in diaspora. But I'm told that Makote ku Zimbabwe anotaura kuti if you don't live in Zimbabwe for more than a year, you cannot even go to court kundo contesta kuti uri kuda kuvota. You won't be allowed to vote in there. I don't know if there is anything wrong with that. Now let me welcome the panel for tonight. Let me be fair. What I'm going to do today, I'm going to start with the first person to join us there. Mkoma Wilbert, welcome to the show. Good evening to you.
Yes, that's me, the Eddie Bird. Good evening, everybody. Good evening, Sally. Good evening, Chief. Good evening, everybody listening and those in America and everybody wherever you are in the world.
Love it. Thank you so much. Wake up on a Chief Sodza. Chief Sodza, good afternoon to you there. I know you're in America.
Yeah, makadi DJ Sodza, makadi vamwe vese vari pachirongwa, makadi mhuri yeZimbabwe iri mativi mana wose yakatekeshera.
Aiwa, tinotenda chose nekuva pano pamunoita kutora time yenyu. I know you've got a very busy life there in America, trying to make ends meet for your lovely daughters so that they can go to university and all the rest of it. But thank you so much. Sekuru, welcome to the show.
Mangwanani maskati manheru vana veZimbabwe makadini kwese kwese kwamuri.
Aiwa, ndinofunga kuti hanzi vanoti hanzi chiri musakasaka chinozvinzwira handiti. Ndatenda zvangu sekuru wekuva pano pachirongwa. Tetero zimaswera seiko kuAmerica uko. How are you today?
I'm good. How's everybody doing?
Yeah, no, we are absolutely fine here. Thank you so much for joining us. Tete Sali ku South Africa uko. Good evening to you.
Good evening, DJ Sodza. Good evening, my Sekuru. I have to greet my Sekuru first. Good evening, Rosie. Good evening, Wilbert. Good evening, Chief Sodza. And good evening, Zimbabweans. Good evening, whatever's, okay? Zimbabweans, wherever you may be. I hope the ones in Cape Town are warm and safe and dry because it's awful weather.
Aiwa, tinotenda chose Sally. Thank you so much for that. What do you mean it's awful weather? Is it raining?
It's raining and the Cape Town wind has revived.
Yeah,
so
but
if you want a new hairstyle, you just put your head out the window and it will redesign your hair and you'll have a facelift too.
But was it last week, Sally, where you were saying that you need some water there because there's drought and all that?
Yeah, I know. I'm not complaining about the rain. It's just, it's not nice for people that are sleeping on the streets and that live in the shacks and things like that. So one half of me feels very bad and the other half of me is very happy. So I don't know. If we want to have water, then people have got to suffer. If we don't have water, then people suffer. So I don't know. I don't know what one does.
Yeah, all right. Thank you so much, Sally. Mkoma teach Masquera say.
Masquera, Mkoma Sodza Masquera. Greetings to all Zimbabweans. Akaterera Nikaisi Akatikishe. Hello, my darling son. And Sekuru and Mkoma Wilbert and Chief Sodza and Sis Rose.
Right.
Hello, my sweetheart.
We missed you, Teach. We actually really missed you.
Now, you mustn't tell him that because then he stays away. Tell him, just pretend he's always been here.
He brings a lot of good input.
He's our best input person. And he's always the person I run to and he ignores me sometimes. Sometimes he helps me.
DJ, change right. The ladies will start fighting now for tea.
Yeah, no, I can sense it from here.
Yeah, can you stop this? Can you stop this, please?
When it's about you, Sekuru, then you're all smiling and you're happy. Now it's about Titch. Now you're performing.
Now look at the jealous men.
You men are all jealous.
I actually missed you last week because Papa don't want to actually name Ange Jamisa Pana.
That is completely uncalled for. They wouldn't be saying that.
Right. Guys, I tell you what. Thank you so much. Chief Soshe. It's just a quick chat about this actually. Chief Soshe, you did post a video about Group Redu about this young guy in South Africa who got some grocery from a Good Samaritan. I mean, a lot of people, I went on Facebook and Twitter, and a lot of people seems to have been touched by it. When I first, viewed it, I thought, well, I think they're just doing some playing games here or something. But when I watched it again, I thought, actually, this is quite real. What did you think about that?
It's pathetic. What touched me most was the boy himself. He doesn't. He looked like a destitute. But if you hear him speak, his English, he's fluent in English. It's not destitute. He's actually someone who has gone to school, maybe to primary school, and maybe an O-level dropout. That's where I assessed the kind of his level of communication in his English language. And then now you think, where did everything go wrong? And then the answer is right there in front of us. It's blame it all on ZANU-PF, because it's ZANU-PF that is displaced us the way we are. That you find the wife is in America, the husband is in South Africa, children are at home on their own, and all the social and economic problems that we have suffered, have led to orphans on the streets, people not going to school. And then when they are not in school, they can't find jobs anyway. What do? They do double up. Double up means jumping borders, going into South Africa, going into Botswana. And it's not even easy to jump that border, to cross that border illegally. They go through a lot. I know that myself. They go through a lot, and that's a young man. And he is not the only one. He is a representative of so many young men, so many young girls whose future has just been blown away. And now when you hear some people saying EDP, Pamberine ZANU, vote ZANU-PF, when ZANU-PF has brought so much misery, it pains me. I've been fighting with people online because that picture is that video is everywhere, and you still find some people trying to defend the indefendable, trying to say, let's give ED a chance. How do you give him a chance when things are like that? He was part of that. He caused everything that is happening to Zimbabwe right now. So ED just to me means perpetuation of the problems we are having right now.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief Soshe. And Suzyam Koma Wulbet, did you see that video?
No, I didn't see it, but I can imagine what the young man must have been going through. I think I agree with Chief Soshe there that he's just one of hundreds of thousands. When unemployment is at 90%, he is in South Africa. There are many more in South Africa. There are more in Botswana. There are even more in Zimbabwe itself, who some of them have been unemployed for the last 15, some even 20 years. I think this is really heartbreaking. It's a pity that we debate about it and never come up with a solution of how are we going to resolve this. And this has been going on now for the last 37 years, 38 years now.
All right. Thank you so much. Sekuru, did you see the video?
Yes, and I actually reposted it.
You reposted it. I mean, what your emotions on that?
Mixed emotions, really. First of all, let me say the way that young man was dressed shows that he is really in trouble with the clothing and the water for washing, and his life is not comfortable at all. But then on review of what he did, I thought, no, the problem might be deeper than just his outlook. It might not be purely destitution. It could be that he is either autistic or he has got a mental problem of some kind. Why I say so? Because he was in a packed supermarket. He was chosen to take whatever he wanted. The supermarket was packed. He went for chicken first. Then he said, I can have 2 pieces. Then he collected a few goodies here and there. And then they said, is that all you want? Because it was about, I think it was worth about 50 rand or something like that. And he says, can I get more? He says, he said, you can get whatever you want today. He didn't go for a major thing like a TV or a fridge or anything. He went around, picked these little things. And then finally, he went and picked a plastic ball. And then I said to myself, really? Is he autistic, or is he mentally deranged, or is he a destitute for real? So up to now, I'm not decided. I think he has got a mental disorder of sorts. But the issue that has been raised by Chief Tosede is a pointer to a real deeper issue that when a system lets down the young can become really, really stupid. And the young can become hopeless to the extent that they do certain things that are beyond expectation. Imagine if it was my son who had been given that opportunity to pick whatever I want. The store would have been emptied. So there's something wrong there, but I can't exactly pin it on what exactly is wrong. But the system itself has caused him to become like that in some way or another.
Right.
Okay. So I felt really touched about the boy. I felt for him. But I also said, no, I think this person needs some help from specialists. Because he was given money and he was told to keep change. And then he says, keep change. And then he gives the money to the cashier. And then it was more than what was required by the cashier. And then he says, keep change to the cashier. And he was told, no, keep change. He says, keep change to the cashier again. I couldn't understand what was going on there.
So, Guru, you've said exactly what I thought. I thought there was big problems there. Not only is the guy not in, I think he's got a bit of mental capacity problem. But I don't know. We actually do not know. Thank you so much, Sally. Sorry, Sekuru. Sally, you saw the video, did you?
Yes, I saw that video.
What was your emotions about that? It was there in South Africa then.
I cried from the beginning of that video. Even talking about it, I want to cry. Okay? The guy... If there was a ZANU-PF person sitting in front of me, I swear I would have become a ninja. I'm telling you, as old as I am, I would have slaughtered them. This guy, my thing is it a mental issue from being on the street? Okay? Is it a mental issue from sniffing glue? Because so many of the street kids sniff glue. I mean, he looks like a guy that's at the robots here in Cape Town, sort of in my area and the next door area. He looks kind of like him, okay? But that guy doesn't speak English like he does, and the guy is kind of violent. The thing is, he's got a mental issue. The issue, whether it's from the street, whether it's from birth, whether it's from sniffing glue, I don't know. The business about giving, keep the change. The guy that was paying for the goods said to him, tell the teller she can keep the change. Okay, the teller, okay, she can keep the change. And that's what he was doing. it kind of bugged me also to the end, because it seemed like they were making a spectacle of him. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
The guy that was, look, he's not the only guy that will help street children like that. There are thousands and thousands and thousands of people that do that. Not everybody makes a big show about it.
And videoed it and send it to people.
Look, you can video it, but the guy kept on sort of trying to attract attention. If you notice, his voice keeps on raising. First he says you can take anything, okay? Then no, you can take anything, and he carries on, and his voice gets higher and higher, like he was trying to attract attention. Okay, look what I'm doing. The boy, I can understand why he went for food first. I mean, when you're on the streets, that is the most important thing.
Yeah.
Okay? Everything that he took, okay, the first lot of things that he took was all food. And you know what happens? They take that food and they go back, because they have a little clique of kids that they will stick with, because their life on the streets is so dangerous. So dangerous. Okay, they get raped, they get attacked, they get abducted, they get murdered. I mean, it's terrible. Okay, and I mean, South Africa is violent by nature. That is that is South Africans' nature. Okay, and he would take that food and he would share it out amongst the kids on the street. And you most probably find that the kids will end up selling it for money.
Mm-hmm. All right.
Because where they get to cook it.
Yeah, they can't
That's
cook it
why
anymore.
he went for fast foods first, because it's cooked, and that's what he wanted. Okay?
Yeah.
Then he went for a bowl at the end. Yeah, he went for that bowl because that's what they do, the kids on the street. I mean, I've seen it thousands of times.
And it was plastic.
Yeah, but it doesn't matter, Sakuru. It was a bowl. You understand what I'm saying? And it was visible. I mean, I didn't see any other balls. They don't sell in an ordinary supermarket. They're not going to sell a ball that's 500 rand. You'd have to go to a sports shop to go and get that.
Yeah. All right. Sally, thank you so much for that, Sally. Mkoma Teach, I don't know if you've seen this video. Mkoma Teach, are you there? Right. Okay. Oh, okay. Did you see that video, Mkoma Teach?
Yes, I did see the video, Mkoma Sodza. And I thought, unfortunately, the philanthropist does not understand the concept of philanthropy. Philanthropy is not loud. Philanthropy is not visible. Philanthropy is quiet and invisible. So
Amen.
at the end of the day, he made a mockery of a very good and noble gesture that he could have done quietly. What we would have preferred to see, in terms of just appreciating it from a philanthropic point, is that guy coming out and saying there is a good Samaritan that did this for me. Not the philanthropist making a scene and making fun of him and taking the whole attention of the supermarket and then videoing the guy. That guy has got relatives who know, he's got people asking them, monorega mwana achitambudzika zvakadaro mukudingo nomutora or things like that. And the guy could have actually mental challenges. Anogona kumemhengera mumba. Destitute people are everywhere in the world, the first world and everywhere else. There's no need to make a mockery of them. There's no need to want to show off that you are helping them or you are so generous. It defeats the whole point. So for me, the philanthropist was a disappointment. The gesture appreciated, but he doesn't seem to understand the concept of philanthropy at all.
All right. Thank you so much. Toterozi, I don't know if you probably seen it because you commented something about it when Chief Soswe posted it to our group.
Yeah, I saw it. I couldn't watch the video. I watched it like almost halfway, and I got so emotional and I stopped. And then I went back much later to look at it again. That's the situation we're in. It's not just that kid. I know because personally I deal with also a lot of kids. And there's a lot of kids in South Africa who have gone. I know kids, vamwe vakaenda kunana Peter House, vakaita sei, and they can't afford to do anything. Their parents can't afford anything. They jump the border. They go to South Africa. They're looking for jobs. They can't afford to go to school. You know, they end up. Some of them are ending up on the streets, and that's the situation we have because of the situation we have in Zimbabwe, and that's why I've always insisted. Kwandiri kuti the situation in Zimbabwe is humanitarian. It's personal. Anyone who says to you kuti the situation is not personal, in my opinion, there's something wrong with them mentally. Because we watch these kids, we're watching a whole generation of kids in Zimbabwe who you look at them. This is not the only video I've seen, Kuti. This is a video that has tugged a lot of people's hearts. But a week before, there was a video of a guy I got to post. What we do now is Marima drugs. This is how we're surviving to numb the pain. That's what he was saying. You know, and this guy was like in his late 30s. These kids are doing nothing. They're at home. There's no jobs. Zimbabwe has emasculated the young men. It has disenfranchised the young women. There's a whole generation of kids who are not from, you know, because you have the haves and the have-nots in Zimbabwe, and the have-nots are a lot of them. And so you have a lot of have-nots who are a generation that is lost, who don't have jobs, who don't even, you have these kids getting married very young, being prostituted. They're not even getting that far. So it's not even just a situation of that young man. It's a situation of many young people who are in a situation where they do not have a future. They cannot see beyond the next day because there's nothing, literally nothing to hope for. And then you find people play. This is why I get angry. And people say, you're too emotional. I get angry with politicians. I get very angry with them. Because you know what? You can play around with people's lives. But look at these people's lives that you're playing around with.
Okay.
You know?
All right.
What it means to them.
Okay.
It makes me very emotional and very angry. If I put on the video, you know what I did? I sent a message to the politicians with the video.
Okay.
Because you're playing with people's lives, and these are the lives you're playing with.
Teterosi, thank you so much. Thank you so much for that. I just want to read a message that we got here from one of our listeners here. Kwanziko, DJ Daindiri Murume Uya Anonzi Garwe. Ndawana that video. I will only do two things. I have the honor to give up power and repent and have peace with God. They have caused so much suffering. Chesti vana veZimbabwe nekuda kwenhamo yavari kukonzeresa vachirambira pachigaro kushandisa chisimba kuti varambe vachiba zvisina tsitsi zvinopana kana pane vanhu vezano ndisvitsireiwo kuna Garwe that video kuti Mwari avarare hope. Tiri mukoma uri kutitumira kuto message about that. I really want to move on to the announcement of the date of the election and all the rest of it. But pana mwachibata hapo mkoma chapu maswera sei?
Aiwa taswira magadini koikoko.
Aya tiri nani kuri sei kwenyu konasi?
Ngapha kuyakhudumala mbijana kunomkhathi mbijana.
Yes.
Kuyakhudumala.
So you decided to give us a call today. Kwakanaka ere tinodzoka tochikatika wana makufona kudai.
no, right kakhulu akuna nkinga baba. Ngibingelela bebandla khonapho bonke abakhona odade abafowethu labo baba abakhonapho siyalibingelela bantu. Hayi mina ngiyaphila ngiqinile njengewuwe elifileyo. Makadini wese muripo mkomatichi tozoti muripo tokutendai sekuru tinenge takangoteererawo kusure kuno tinenge tiripo mazuva Sally. Anyway,
happy Christmas.
Oh, that's the last time we spoke, right? Yeah. Anyway, no, I did that video. Mkoma ndatenda mkoma Sodza manitumira. And I own the first thing and I'll tell that mkoma teacher, and I fully agree with him. The thing and the button there, I was seeing another Chiyangwa right there. And to me, is total lack of respect of the work, the power of the work. Yatawa namkuma teach. Yekuti isusuma Zimbabwe. You know, that's another making a flamboyancy. You know, you don't have to be flamboyant about what you have to be a respectable philanthropist. And I don't want to repeat that, but that's what those are the battles. Why do we do that? Tell me why do you have to do that? You don't have to be show off because you name it. He could have done it. But anyway, and that kid, in my next thing was I don't know about that. You see. So anyway, that was my take on that. Yandi Batabat.
Right. Okay. Thank you so much. Now, for some of you guys out there who are wondering where this video is and where it's coming from, if you've got my WhatsApp number, just page me there and say, DJ, can you send that video? And I can send your video through that video through WhatsApp. For those of you who haven't seen the video of this young man being asked to get whatever he wants in a South African restaurant. Not restaurant, supermarket rather. And this is Yamkoma Benfoot, Maswera say America.
DJ Sodza, Magadi go him.
I watch no Faracho say, could say Gwenyu.
Kuno Gurinano.
And this is Oti, Mayona way, video kana kuti muda kuti tifambire mberi because I want to talk about nyaya dzemadates atapuwa election.
I think tinogona kufambira mberi video handina kuiona ndatongojoina program yenyu manje.
Okay, no pari right. Right. Zvandoda kuita panapa ka ndezvekudai so varume. We have had that the election will be held on the 30th of July, and that's exactly 2 months yesterday, right? And another thing that I've seen a lot on Facebook is diaspora vote as well, that people are diaspora vote. But what I want to ask is, we were told by the opposition here that they will not go into these elections without the reforms that were supposed to be made. And there was one in particular yes, there was one in particular that the MDC were very focused on. I don't know, maybe Sekuru might help us on that. Participation, voters roll audit. You know, I might be wrong about that, but I think that was the key thing MDC kuti vada kuona voters roll audit before anything can happen. I'm just wondering now, with the dates in situ, has this been done? And if it hasn't been done, so are they going to participate? Should they participate in this coming election? And so Sekuru, maybe you want to kick off with that.
The issue about reforms has always been a topical issue in the MDC. It has not received traction from other political players in the opposition trenches, because they thought MDC was playing big brother on an issue, when in actual fact MDC was seriously saying this will affect all of us as opposition. Now, yes, the reforms, some of the reforms have been implemented, but not all the reforms have been implemented. In particular, one of the reforms that the MDC was interested in was the BVR. The BVR has now been implemented. The argument was, will it be out in time for people to check their names and verify the voters roll? And we know that it ended yesterday, and there are no complaints that people did not inspect the voters roll. The complaint is that there are some errors in the voters roll, and therefore the MDC wants a full audit of the voters roll. And the SEC is saying, no, we cannot allow you to do a full audit of the voters roll, because this is a preliminary draft of the voters roll. We will issue a proper, once the corrections that have been inspected have been issued, we will issue a proper voters roll before the nomination court sits. And then everybody, you can check the corrections to see that they have been corrected. And in that checking, the SEC is arguing that that is an audit, because the voter, according to the Constitution and the electoral law, there is no provision for an audit of the voters' roll, but there is a provision for anyone to inspect the voters' roll as a control measure. Now, the issue is, I don't understand where this notion that the audit should be done by a separate individual or a separate entity came from. I don't quite understand where it emanated from, because in as far as the law is concerned, the auditing is done by each individual who registered to vote, by them checking that their credentials are appearing on the voters' roll where they are supposed to be voting. If not, then correcting that with the officials and ensuring that it is corrected. Now, I don't know why after the problems in MDC, the problem has been expanded to become an audit of the voters' roll. And I don't quite understand what an audit of the voters' roll means.
Right. Okay.
Because to me, auditing is a means of checking the voters' roll. And the person who can best check the voters' roll is the person who is applied to be registered as a voter.
Right.
So I don't know what other audit is in their minds or is in the MDC's minds. Because remember, the configuration of the FGC has now become different from the FGC that we were talking about.
All right. So, Imimi Sekuru, so what are you thinking here? You're thinking, Kuti, even if that audit is not granted, Kuti, my opposition cited that audit, it is still fair for the opposition to go ahead and participate in this election?
My position has always been very clear. If you don't participate in an election, whether it is fair or unfair, if you don't participate, you lose.
Pakanaka Sekuru, thank you so much. What about the diaspora vote, Sekuru? Would you like to see that implemented?
I told Monzora 4 weeks ago that he should stop talking about the diaspora vote because the time they are raising the issue is an insult to the diaspora because they knew about the diaspora vote from the date that the elections in 2013 was announced. They didn't take any action because they don't want the diaspora vote.
So you are saying even the opposition don't want the diaspora vote?
I don't think they do.
Okay, all right.
I don't think they do. Because at the present moment, it looks like ZANU, PF, and all the opposition parties are unanimous that the diasporans do not know the politics in the country and they should not be allowed to vote. Because then they dilute opinion on the foreign opinions.
Sekuru, thank you so much.
That work in favor of Zimbabweans as far as the local government is concerned.
But do you think it is fair? But do you think it is fair, Sekuru, that you are not allowed to vote simply because you are living in diaspora?
No, I really hate it because one of the tenets of the liberation, one of the core reasons of the liberation struggle was one man, one vote. Now it's no longer one man, one vote. It's one man in Zimbabwe, one vote, which is totally against the ethos of the liberation struggle. And the people died because they wanted that one man, one vote concept to be implemented. Now it's no longer implemented as one man, one vote. It's now implemented as one man in Zimbabwe, one vote.
Okay. Thank you so much, Sekuru. It's very clear there. And so you are Chief Soshe.
Hey, DJ.
Chief Soshe, I was saying, my elections, they are going to be held on the 30th, as we are told now. But I'm really wondering about this voters' roll audit. I mean, why won't they allow the opposition to do the audit? Well, maybe is the opposition right to demand an audit on it?
You know, takutogadzirira isu DJ kunovota. I was busy looking for tickets the day that yesterday when I heard about the proclamation.
Yeah.
And I also want to announce that I easily checked my name online. It took me, less than a minute, and I saw everything is in order. What is left now is for me to just go there and vote. However, I'm not as excited to go and vote as I was when I went to register. Because when I went to register, I still had hope that a lot of things were going to change. And even now, I haven't given up hope. Here on the radio, you know that I came and introduced and talked about NERA, which was the National Electoral Reform Agenda. Because I and other people here in the diaspora and in Zimbabwe strongly believe that the issue of electoral reform was central and crucial to any opposition taking over. And we together, obviously the idea of the reforms agenda was the brainchild of the late Dr. Morgan Tsvangirai. And he made talk to other 7-8 political parties, and they formed NERA. And it was used now as a vehicle to push for electoral reform. And over the 2 years of its establishment, it achieved a number of things, like Sekuru said, the biometric voter registration that we now have. But I'm still saddened that nothing more was done. And we had so much hope when ED, came into power, because he was promising free, fair, and credible election. He roamed the world talking about that. But on the ground, nothing was being done, and nothing has been done. And that was our cry even when the new dispensation came into power. We were saying these are the things the opposition should be focusing on. We need to push this man before he establishes himself so that he can enact these electoral reforms. And now we wonder, everyone who has been saying, let's give ED a chance, because he hasn't delivered. He hasn't. He signed the bill for elections that allowed him to proclaim the election date without any meaningful changes. So to me, someone who has been fighting for these reforms for all these years, who has sacrificed everything, from time to resources, to relations, because of these reforms, I am still saying, because even yesterday when we heard about the debt, I was busy contacting people in Zimbabwe. I spoke to the youth chairpersons for most of the political parties in Zimbabwe, including Comrade Bondo. And I was telling them, guys, this is what we are fighting for all this time. And this is the time for us to make noise, more noise, to make the final push about electoral reform. And we are begged, MDC and the opposition parties, all Zimbabwe something, because we had President Chamisa coming in and saying elections are not going to be held. He repeated that and said, we are not going to boycott elections. Zvikukutaurirai kukasaitwa ma-reform, hakuna ma-elections anoitwa. I'm not misquoting him. That's exactly what he said. And we even questioned the people who were supporting that on social media, and we're asking, how is he going to stop Mnangagwa from having elections? Yeah, he hasn't said anything about that, but I can tell you right now, the wheels of the electoral reform agenda are in motion, and people on the ground are preparing for massive demonstrations on the ground. And personally, I think that's the way forward. This is the time, for all opposition parties, civic organizations, citizens of Zimbabwe to put pressure, to gather around, to support those demonstrations. Because those demonstrations will be indicative of what Mnangagwa has failed to do. It will show the world that Mnangagwa promised and he didn't deliver. And it's pointless. I will agree now with Mkoma Wilbe. It is pointless for us to get excited about the election date and prepare, as I'm doing, to go and vote, when we haven't shown the world that we are going into these elections under protest. We have to show the world that things are not as they seem. ZANU-PF did not do anything. So this is the time to push for all those reforms, and then show SADC, show OAU, show the whole world that these elections, there is no way that they are going to be free and fair. Yes, the biggest issue is the issue of the voters' roll. It has to be audited. And it's fortunate that we had EU volunteering coming in to say we will audit that voters' roll for free, because ZEC has always been saying and hiding behind the issue of availability of funds. Now the EU has offered. So what excuse is ZEC going to use?
Right.
That voters' roll must be audited, because it has been the key issue that we are fighting for. That we want to see that the voters' roll is okay. There are no anomalies in that voters' roll before we can go for election.
Okay.
Because right now, as it is, nothing has changed.
All right.
Yes, we go and inspect, but we need an independent audit of the voters' roll, and we need the outstanding reforms like accessibility to ZBC, accessibility to ZTV, and we need the media reform to be enacted. Because they are still there. Now we are still applying for us to do demonstrations, and it's because of laws like IPA. He hasn't done anything. He just scratched the surface of the reforms that the opposition has been demanding. And it's the time now for us to stand up and go in the streets and demand. Those who can't go in the streets, let's help from where we are.
Chief Sose, Chief Sose, you said you are already booking your flights to go and vote. Now,
yes, I've not stopped booking.
Mashika to Zimbabwe. How did you manage to register to vote yet you don't live in Zimbabwe?
Oh no, that I'm a Zimbabwean. Everyone is. If you are a Zimbabwean and you have your national ID, you can go and register. I went there. I had my national ID. I had my my proof of residence. You know.
Now, were they not asking for like maybe a proof like bills or things like that?
This is why we last time when we were on radio, we were talking about the VR9 form.
Okay.
VR9 forms, we actually provided millions of them through concerned citizens. Those forms were signed, were forms that were supposed to be provided by ZEC, but it never provided them. We were now providing them, and then people would write down their address, and then you go to a lawyer who will certify that you actually live there, and then stamp. So those are the forms that everyone in Zimbabwe was using.
Right.
That was actually a win for the opposition, because ZANU-PF knew that people were not going to be able to access the VR9 form. But because Zimbabweans stepped in and provided those VR9 forms, a lot of people who don't own houses, who didn't have addresses, were able to register using the VR9 form.
Okay, all right, Mkoma. So, you flew from America and go home with your identity card and have that VR9 form you're talking about, then you are allowed to vote. So, this really is... Diaspora can actually vote if they travel to Zimbabwe and do exactly what you did. Diaspora can actually vote.
No, Zimbabweans can actually vote. I mean, as long as you are in Zimbabwe, you can go and vote. If you know Gara, 20 years outside Zimbabwe, as long as you have your ID. If you don't have it, you simply go and reapply. Myself, I had to go because I had lost it. I had to go and reapply it. And ndakatotangira kubirth certificate because ndakandisisina zvese izvo.
Right.
Ndikanozvitora, ndikanozwana, ndikanoregister. But still coming to the issue of that diaspora vote. Do you know, DJ, that vote is there? The people who are Zimbabweans who are working in embassies right now, they vote. They are allowed, they vote and send their votes to Zimbabwe. They still vote. So that's diaspora vote. It's available. ZANU-PF just doesn't want.
Right. Okay. All right. The Chief Sose, thank you so much.
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end of this entertainment.
No, stop messing about.
You're listening to Zimbabwe's finest radio station, broadcasting worldwide. Zimnet Radio, the people's choice. Make the whole world know about your business. Advertise with Zimnet Radio. Email marketing@zimnetradio.com.
This is a disclaimer. The opinions expressed by contributors during radio call-in shows are solely those of the individual callers and do not reflect the opinions of Zimnet Radio, DJs, presenters, managers or administration. Listeners are encouraged and advised to seek the services of qualified professionals for their personal problems.
In touch with the best online station, Zimnet Radio.
It is a Thursday, and you know what that means. It's a men's corner show with yours truly, DJ Sodza.
Thank you so much for listening. Katripa Zimnet Radio, Miami in the United Kingdom, exactly 11 o'clock. Welcome to the Men's Corner Show, where we are talking a little bit more about, we've had that the elections will be held on the 30th of July. The declaration has been done, but I'm just wondering here a simple question to people, that I was maybe led to believe that there should be a voter audit before we go into this election. Now, has that been done? If not, then is the opposition happy to go in this election without that audit done? I don't know. And also, what do you make of the diaspora vote, right? Should people be given this diaspora vote? Mukomatichi.
Yes, sir.
Yes, Mukomatichi, what's your take on this one? I was told, especially the MDC was clear that they want these reforms, especially in auditing of the voters' roll. But they've not been allowed to do that. And now we know the election is exactly 2 months from yesterday rather. Now, I don't know, are they going, what is their position? Are they going to participate? I don't know, what is the position?
It's not necessarily the position of any particular party that wants all these things done to pursue their own vested interests. The issue of reforms cannot be done for the convenience of the opposition or for the convenience of ZANU-PF. It's a matter of a legal process following the referendum and passing of the new constitution. So it's a due legal process that the opposition, if they feel puts them at a disadvantage, should be running circles around the constitutional court. Every day someone should be coming up with a new suit until the constitutional court makes a ruling about the consummation of a passed unanimously constitution. It's a legal issue. We tend to conflate the issue with our political morality and moral standpoints, and that's where we lose it in Zimbabwe, because the issue of reforms in Zimbabwe is a constitutional issue. It's an issue to do with our ultimate law, the most supreme law of the land, of which all acts of parliament are subordinate, a key one being the Electoral Act. Now you will see that ZANU-PF, being smart enough to retain power, have pushed through some Electoral Act reforms. In other words, ZANU-PF has aligned the provisions of the Constitution or the Electoral Act provisions to the Constitution, so that whatever outcomes or disputes electorally or boundaries or administratively are not found ultra vires the Constitution. Whereas on the other hand, as a country that passed unanimously a constitution, we require that all laws be harmonized to the constitution. That means those that are discordant must be repealed or amended. and to do that either a general laws amendment act that will cover each and every bill that has got such a clause that is discordant to the law is actually amended or repealed and passed through Parliament. This means that MDC is the only opposition that has got members of Parliament should actually push through a party motion and proposal to Parliament demanding that this be done. If it is opposed in ZANU-PF or the Speaker refuses to process it, take that to the Constitutional Court to say at the legislature level we have failed because our party or our partners in Parliament are unwilling because they want to maintain an unconstitutional, unfair advantage in terms of elections in the country. And then that becomes an international issue to bring in SADC, the African Union, etc. This is the same problem that we've had with the MDC. I'm only talking about them because they're the only opposition that is in Parliament, whereby they run a lot of mouths in their rallies, but they don't push motions in Parliament so that ZANU-PF is exposed as resisting a legalistic side of things. So there should be two things: running your mouth off at rallies and making sure that you conscientize the public and everyone is aware, making the issue something that is a celebrated cause for the nation. People rally behind you, support you. But on the other hand, practically taking practical steps in the legislature, taking practical steps at the Constitutional Court. There's nothing of that. We see piecemeal little actions by individuals who may have sympathies with the parties. Yet, when it comes to power retention, they are so quick to go and sue each other at the Constitutional Court. But when it comes to this particularly fundamental change, thing that will change our country, none of the opposition leaders have got the stomach for it. And it's very staggering for some of us just watching it. So my take at the moment is we are too concerned with conflating the morality of politics and who is to be blamed, etc. Whilst on the other hand, the people that have the responsibility, which is the opposition, is not actually taking practical action. And ZANU-PF is not going to take that action on your behalf because it serves their interests. Now, more importantly, to conclude, Nkoma Sodza, Zimbabweans need to be aware that looking at things from before 15 November is a total waste of time. 15 November changed the dynamics in the political landscape for all opposition groups, for all processes in the country. We were all in shock and in awe. We didn't know whether the soldiers were going to go violent and ZANU-PF were going to kill each other, arrest each other in the country, descend into total chaos. People didn't know. Some of the enthusiasm that people were showing soldiers was particularly to appease them so that they don't go starting to kill people. People are like that. It looks like Stockholm Syndrome, but that's survival. It's existential. So Zimbabwe's political landscape from the 15th of November is where you want to look, because you have two major events that happened. You had a military coup, which completely upset ZANU-PF, because ZANU-PF right now are not concerned about everyone else. The Lacoste faction in ZANU-PF are concerned about making sure that they become legitimized. And when they become legitimized, they're going to be uprooting all the G40s. So there's going to be more chaos and fighting in ZANU-PF post-elections if Mnangagwa somehow miraculously survives the election, which they will do at any cost. So there's going to be a lot of arrest within ZANU-PF, a lot of firing and so on. Total chaos, or seeming to be total chaos. But what it will be is they'll be eliminating their opponents within ZANU-PF. So we'll all become spectators again and commenting on it and such on. And the term of Mnangagwa will run on that all the way to the end. The other major event that happened is that we need to appreciate that Trangirai died. Trangirai had signed MOUs with some of us in MPP. Trangirai had a gravitas of being respected by other political leaders in the opposition groups. And whatever he said, it was taken as people could take his word. Chinese are still yet to get there. If anything, is so ambivalent, we're a bit confused about exactly what he stands for. We're not sure. He does have political rhetoric that is populist, but we don't know exactly where he is going and how he intends to get there beyond the hyperbole that has become notorious for now. So two things, the coup, the death of Trangira changed the dynamics of our political landscape. So we should not be too simplistic about it. The opposition cannot cry now. They should go to the Concord and take action, and then people can back them up.
All right, Aiwa, thank you so much. And this was Kumatichi, you want to comment anything on the diaspora vote?
The diaspora vote, I have told you on this program, and I've told others in various other forums.
Yes.
I've told people like LSC that were putting their little challenge at the Concord, that you can never win that because the law is clear. In terms of the Zimbabwe Constitution, everyone who is on official duty, not that clear, not emigres. So anyone who is on official duty is entitled to a postal vote. And that is a law. That's what the law says. The law recognizes your permanent citizenship as a born Zimbabwean. It does not recognize all your fundamental rights because all those fundamental rights are qualified. So you cannot then expect that you are not a taxpayer nor a ratepayer in Zimbabwe and you will just go to the embassy without any official position that you hold and they will give you a postal ballot. They don't even know you exist. Zimbabwe does not hold censorship or census in foreign countries. Zimbabwean government does not know that DJ Sodza is there. They don't even know what your passport number is. They have no record at the Zimbabwe embassy like other countries do, that when you emigrate or to a foreign country, you go and register yourself at your embassy, give them your profession and let them know where you reside. In the event of any calamity or any emergencies, they know where their nationals are and can send block SMSs. We are so far away from that. Our government does not know who we are, where we are, what we do, whether we are legal or illegal in the countries that we stay. So in terms of the actual documentary logistics that are required for you to be registered as a voter in the diaspora, it's virtually a logistical nightmare. What Chief Shoshe said he did, everyone else can do. But what you cannot do is to vote whilst in diaspora and have a polling station at the embassy or at any of the government of Zimbabwe places like a consulate or anything. That's what you're not going to have. You see, that's what you need to understand, that even those that are on official duty send their postal ballots to the embassy in sealed envelopes in a particular way, and that's it, they're sent off, and the agents of the various political parties can then inspect them for their credibility and ensure that they're credent, and then they become part of the ballots at home. We immigrants cannot do the same. It's just not possible, it's impractical, and it's not there in the provisions of the law. The provision of the law is only about your permanent citizenship that cannot be taken away from you. Every other right is qualified.
Okay. Aiwa, thank you so much Mkoma Teach for explaining that. Ndikakwenda pana Mkoma Benford, because Mkoma Benford amusati mambotaura something mauya a little bit late zvenyu, but ndoda kubvunza iwo nenyaya ye the elections that are going to take place in 2 months' time, and that, you know, there is some cry from the opposition that there was no audit as of yet, audit of the voters' roll. Do you think this is going to happen?
DJ Sodza, I think we need to be realistic about what we are talking about here. How can you talk about an audit of something that is not completed? As people were checking their names in the voters' roll, ZEC was actually registering people. Okay? So this is now the time when they are finalizing, and I think they was already said they're going to continue registering people until, I think they're going to stop maybe 2 weeks from now, just before the nomination. That's when they're going to stop. And at that point, you are going to have the full voters roll for people who will be voting. Otherwise, at this stage, it doesn't make sense for anyone to be auditing something that is incomplete. That is one thing that we need to understand here. And then it comes back to what Seven was saying. What do we mean by auditing a voters roll? Probably what you are doing is making sure that there are no ghost people or people who are dead and still existent on the voters roll. I don't even know how easy it is for anyone to get that kind of information. The other thing is what ZEC has already done. Find people who registered twice or who are perceived to have registered twice, and they were given an opportunity in this period to go and confirm that. Otherwise, I think ZEC said that they had about 11,000 people who are duplicate names. Some of them were going to be prosecuted for registering twice. So ZEC has pretty much done that kind of work. If anything, I think once they finalized, all the political parties will get a copy of the voters' roll. They can engage anybody they want to do that audit. If they found any discrepancies, I think there are avenues for them to launch those complaints. So this issue about the voters' roll is a non-event as far as I'm concerned. People, like Chief Sose will say it's a big issue. It's not a big issue. So that's my point on the voters' roll. Coming to the diaspora vote, I think Teach clarified a number of issues. The problem with the diaspora vote is there is no legal framework for it. As our constitution is at the moment, there is no legal framework for people in the diaspora to vote. Our voting is power-based. Okay? What that means is imu DJ Sodza kana maka unyoresa kuti muchavotera muri kuZimba maramba pfungu. Even if you are in Zimbabwe, come what July 3rd, kana mukaenda ku Bulawayo kunhamo, you won't be allowed to vote muri mu Zimbabwe. So what makes somebody who is in the diaspora special is somebody who we know registered in Uzimba maramba pfungwe. But come what July 30, due to circumstances beyond, Zhamani he will not be allowed to vote. Okay, we need to have the legal framework. And teacher said it right. The opposition, they needed to make the right noise for parliament. I've always said it here. People say ED should have changed this and that. The problem with that is if we forget where our laws come from, we are breeding something that will come to hound us again. Because if ED changes our laws using executive powers, what would prevent ED later on to change even those things that we like as Zimbabweans? We should never allow a situation where the president unilaterally changes laws, no matter how good or how favored those laws are. Our laws should come from parliament. And when I say Kuru wanoti stick on constitutionalism, they would better know that is how we make our laws, and that is what we should continue to follow. What else? One other comment. Chief Sose is saying they are going to have demonstrations. Now, let me make this clear here on this show. They might call for demonstrations. Zimbabweans have no time for those demonstrations. No one will respond to those demonstrations. Mark my words. If the opposition wants to be embarrassed before finally losing an election, let them call for this demonstration. People of Zimbabwe are busy, struggling. Vachita business vachivenda vachitengesa kuraramisa mhuri, not to participate in useless demonstrations. Okay? Kana vachida kuva serious, let them take a little bit of Teach's advice. Ngawaite must sit in parliament. They have members of parliament. Let them sit in, go on hunger strike within parliament to make that kind of noise. That might at least help them. In any case, it's too late. They had 5 years since they lost 2013 election. They did nothing. Now they are coming at this stage just to make a little bit of noise. Let me finish my comments here, DJ Sodza. To show Guti, our laws is where the problem is, not ED. I was listening to Kuani Moyo. I think he's one of the doctors in ZEC and stuff like that. According to our constitution, ZEC has only the mandate to follow media coverage after sitting of the nomination court, and that will be 1.5 months to the election. That is when, according to our constitution, that is when ZEC is mandated to check the media space to see what is happening. Are you covering all the political parties equally? Outside that, ZEC has no mandate to do that. It again shows you where the problem is. That is our laws, and that is done through parliament. Anything else that you can suggest here is tifadzana and stuff like that. It won't take us anywhere. That is probably what I can say. And again, after this election, if the opposition is still the opposition, they need to get their house in order and start to be serious if they want anything changed. Otherwise, for this election, I would advise them to continue campaigning vigorously. This is the time. This is the only chance they have. Let them continue campaigning vigorously and sell their message. They still have a realistic chance of winning. That's all I can say.
Aiwa, thank you so much, Mkoma, for that. And Mkoma Wilbert, I think this is your favorite topic here tonight.
I know. Just to start with the clarification, I think there is actually, I can't find it on the copy of the Constitution I have, but probably it's there. There is a provision that says that the ZEC has got a legal obligation to issue the voters' roll in a format that can be checked by all the stakeholders. In this particular case, I think it's in a digital form, which people can access and check. This did not happen in the 2013 elections. I think people like Bebe who did participate in those elections will confirm that ZEC actually issued hard copies of that voters' roll. In some cases, 2 days before the voting itself took place. Now, the problem with that is what happened next. This is why you find that nearly 1 million people, when they went to the polling station, they queued up, and then when their turn came, they were told they are not in the voters' roll. Because ZANU-PF had mixed up the voters' roll deliberately. Some people found themselves being posted in another constituency where they had never lived there. And the worst thing about it this time is that this is even worse, because at least in 2013, if you were in a constituency of voters' roll, if there are 20 polling stations in that constituency, you could vote from any one of those 20. This time, you can only vote from one polling station. Your name, your details will be in one polling station. If there are 20 polling stations in a constituency, and your name is on the constituency voters' roll, there is no constituency voters' roll per se, but it will be in one polling station in that particular constituency. So if you go to the wrong polling station, your name will not be there. People have been talking here about, people, these last 10 days that people were allowed to check the voters' roll, they were able to check it. Only by the end of the 10 days, just over 700,000 managed to check physically. Remember, this is voting by biometric data. Getting your text message about your name, your address, and what polling station and so forth, and confirming that does not confirm that you will be you'll be able to vote on the day. Because if your biometric data is a mismatch or has not been entered properly, you'll find that you go to that polling station and they'll tell you are not in this polling station. The check should have been physically go to a polling station and ask and confirm that your name and your data is on in the voters' roll. That is the only sure way of making sure that that happens. As for the audit, this voters' roll, one of the things that I personally said on this program is that the voter registration should have started way back in 2015, January 2015 at the very latest, because it's a long process and it allows people to have the opportunity to register. And as it happened, it started last year in September. And by the time they finished and started editing it, they only had 5.3 million people out of a targeted 7 million. So nearly 1/4 were already denied the vote because they were never given the opportunity. And if you look in the Constitution, it's very clear everybody should be given the opportunity to register. And to think that you could register 7 million in 5 months is totally unrealistic. And the same with the auditing. I know Chief Sodza was saying there that the European Union is offered to audit it. There is no time to audit it because, like we say, they're already asking people to check the voters' roll, and they only finished on the 29th. And now they've got to clean it up. And already the nomination day is in 2 weeks' time, and then the election in 2 months' time. There's no way even the European Union can audit that voters' roll and make sure that if they pick up something, it's corrected. It's no way. This is again one of ZANU-PF's tactics. They delay and drag things just the same way they did with the writing of the new constitution. And then in the last few months, there is a mad dash, a stampede, so that there is a lot of things that go on and nobody has got an opportunity to change them or correct them. That is exactly what is happening here. And I think one of the panelists there did point out that, I think it was Rose, was saying that the voters' roll is one of the ways ZANU-PF is rigging these elections. And that is exactly what is happening here. And as for participating, I think some people make the mistake of thinking by participating, they are helping with the democratic process. You are not. ZANU-PF wants you to participate, because by participating in an election that they know they've already won, you are actually giving it the modicum of respectability, and credibility. And that is what ZANU-PF wants. They want you to run around like headless chickens on election day, and then they'll be saying everybody participated. And then this is what people said. Although in the end, we really don't know who voted, and because there is no voters' roll, and the whole thing is hopelessly corrupt. And as for the media that Benford was talking about there should be a free media, not just a month before the election. We should have a free media at all times. Chamisa, I may not agree with what he's saying, but he, as a candidate with one of the leaders of the main opposition, he is entitled, covered by the public media, just as much as Mnangagwa is entitled. It is ridiculous that we have got a situation where it's only the ZANU-PF candidates who are given coverage. The opposition blackout. It's ridiculous.
Ridiculous is the word. Thank you so much, Mkoma Wildet, for that details analysis of that. And Sally, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yes, you haven't been blown away by the wind there?
If you hear a noise, it's just the wind because, hey, it's going crazy.
Alright. Now,
I'm watching all the people being blown past in front of me.
Yes. Anyhow, Sally, you've been listening to what others have had to say about this so-called audit of the voters' roll. And that's what Benford Warukuti, you see, they're just finalizing the voters' roll, and he thinks that people are going to be given opportunity. But really, with this amount of time left, is that going to happen?
Do you know what? Today I am more confused than I ever was before, okay? I mean, this whole thing is just a joke as far as I'm concerned. I mean, it starts with MDC, and why I say MDC, like Titch says, is because they're the only people with representatives in Parliament, okay? And before I say anything else, from the very first program we had after the coup, I begged MDC to hold Mnangagwa's feet over the fire, hold ZANU-PF's feet, hold the parliamentarians, ZANU-PF parliamentarians' feet to the coals about implementing and aligning the constitution like they were supposed to have done and they haven't done. Titch, for years, has been telling the opposition exactly what to do. Tonight, what he said is just a repeat of 10,000 times. But guess what? Know this and know that, and this and that, and there's no money, and there's no this, and there's no that. But Chamisa's got money for bling and smart cars and dressing out the vanguard and military salutes given to Chamisa by the vanguard and Chamisa's new clothing, and there's money for that. The minute the opposition lost the last election, the minute after it, they should have been implementing what Titch has been telling them for donkey's years. Now is not the time. You can hold 50 million demonstrations. It's not going to help because the time has gone. Okay? I mean, it's you have closed the door of the stable. The horse has run the race. It has died. You haven't realized that the body is rotten and still you don't know where the horse is. But the stable door is closed. I mean, come on, people. How many more times does ZANU-PF have to smack you in the face? I mean, my only little glimmer of hope got destroyed last week. Or was it this week? I mean, I just don't know. It's like trying to follow Trump and all his escapades. Okay? I mean, it's ridiculous. I was hoping that the international community, because Mnangagwa is dying, he is bleeding blood to get onto the international stage. Okay? And I was hoping that the international community were going to hold him and make him do what he doesn't, what ZANU-PF and him don't want to do, okay? And then I read the thing from the UN where they're telling the people recognize Zimbabwe and help Zimbabwe and all this kind of business. I thought, finish. So, nothing is going to happen. Boycotting elections, that's like taking $100 bill and throwing it down the toilet. I mean, that is just a load of nonsense. It doesn't matter how crooked the election is. You need to have the opposition there. People need to vote. They need to, okay? It doesn't give any recognition. And I mean, all that nonsense. MDC contested all the elections, okay, while Mugabe was staying. Mugabe never got recognized by the international community because MDC participated. So, that's just a myth. It doesn't give the elections any kind of recognition. So please, people, go out and vote. Okay? As to the rest of it, I'm sorry, I have no idea. I've got my head in the toilet, I'm like an ostrich, because I tell you something, nothing's going to, until the Zimbabweans in Zimbabwe themselves decide, right, we have had enough. We are tired of dying for no reason. We are tired of not having work. My nephew is 23 years old. He has never, ever, ever held a job in his life. He does piecework. He's a chef, okay? He's qualified in everything. He does piecework. He doesn't know what it is to go to work from 9 to 5, okay, have a pension, have medical aid, have a guaranteed salary at the end of the month, nothing. He's 23 years old. If it wasn't for his mother, okay, he would be on the streets. And he's got a disability as well, okay? Which she fights like hell to try and provide his medication and everything for him. All right? So, when are people going to get up and decide that they want the whole loaf of bread, plus the bakery, plus the lorry, plus the money, and not just half a loaf of moldy bread? Because that's what you're getting, and that's what you're going to continue getting. Munangagwe is not your answer. ZANU-PF has never been the answer.
Right.
Okay? So, until you get up and you demand your rights, your basic human rights, until you do that en masse, there we are. You'll keep on getting taken down the road, okay, and thrown out of the truck when they don't need you anymore, and another truck will come and run over you. So,
all right.
It's all a joke.
It's all a joke.
It is. It's a joke.
Thank you so much, Sally, for that. Thank you so much. And Tete Rosie.
Hi.
Yes. What's your take on this voter auditing? Do you think it's going to happen? And if it doesn't happen, should the elections still go ahead?
The elections are going to go ahead no matter what. The elections were going to go ahead no matter what.
Right.
The problem we have in Zimbabwe is we have a lot of people, like this is where I agree with Sally, on until Zimbabweans take ownership. And actually, instead of just latching, Zimbabweans have a system of just latching onto things without actually thinking things through. And I agree with Wilbur to the extent of these reforms that we keep talking about. Some of these things should have been done. I remember a show, you guys remember a show, and I told you, why aren't MDC people bringing this in Parliament? Ndikanzichi, ndakaudwa kunzi ndikuita waste time yangu. Nekutaura nezvekuti vanhu vanofanira kuita, they should have been already presenting some of this stuff in Parliament. Now today, you find on the 28th, they gazetted the Electoral Act and they say they're done. So there's not going to be any electoral reform anymore. They're done. And in the meantime, the law is still unconstitutional. ZEC is still not independent, and this is based on that constitution. I remember we wrote a whole booklet of reforms that they needed to do. But what you find is you find with the MDC, they're running around, and I'm a big supporter of MDC, but I kept asking the same question. You guys run around using what ballot printing. They don't talk about the things that actually are relevant to the election. It's almost like they're partaking in the rigging by ZANU-PF, by leading people in a wrong direction. And then people don't actually conscientize themselves to really understand what's going on. So you're always being woodwinked. Marala no Zara, even Nanga Marala Kaka Zara. All you have to do is bus people to a rally. The real question is, what are you actively doing to actually win an election? And for me, I know with the Constitution itself, changing the Constitution, it's too late. They're not going to be able to do any of that. But the one thing that they still need to at least fight for is getting the audit on the voter roll. And they should have been fighting. The last 2 weeks, Paka Anon told you, go and check your name on the voter roll. Is there 5 million registered voters? But yet we just heard someone say maybe about 700,000 actually physically tagged to make sure they're on the voters roll. Already you're rigging yourself. You don't know if your people are actually on the voter roll. By now, by now, instead of fighting about primary elections, you should have had MPs. My MPs, are constituency. They should have been checking off with it. In 2013, ZANU-PF had, my constituency, 10,000 people voted. 6,000 voted for MDC, 5,000 voted for ZANU-PF, and maybe the rest voted for the rest of the parties. How many do I actually need to win an election? And they should have already had a tally. And guess what? We actually designed a program with concerned citizens, trained people from MDC. Takatrain abantu. Tikatumira computers. So that they would have this data. So that when election time, they would do it. Takarasiswa. Let the same people that are manya. And then now ukavunzwa anything wrong with guns, but ndo vanhu vakatirasisa. And the same people keep vachitirasisa all the time. But maybe if we lose another election, Zimbabweans will stop just assuming and thinking with anyone who questions anything akaipa. They'll start maybe paying attention. But I don't know. ZANU-PF has been doing this to us. ZANU-PF plays the same game every election year. It just has variations. Vanenge vachita disorder. Vamwe vari kumhanya vari kutuku. Vamwe vari kukudedzai vari kupedza nguva nezvinhu zvisina kana musoro. Muchingotaura zvinhu zvisina kana musoro. Ipapo they're rigging the election. Muchonzi muchawina. Honai takaudzwa 2013. Changirai going to win with 60%. Honai Marala Changirai lost 40%. You got like 40%. ZANU-PF got like 60%. And it's like we don't listen. We just like to follow. But when it comes down to doing what's actually needed to win the election on the ground, which is supposed to be systematic and scientific, we don't even do. It's like they failed. MDC failed to fight for the electoral amendment in Parliament when they had a chance. And the same people I've never seen a country I've only been involved in Zimbabwean politics maybe for the last few years. I've never seen a country where it's like pulling teeth to get people to do anything substantial that can actually change something. They don't do anything. And then nothing actually ever gets done. Why aren't you in Parliament doing this? We should be conscientizing people, educating people. Guess who started educating people? Even for voter registration, who registered the most people? It was the churches. The churches were the ones who ended up registering the most people. Because MDC the same people are going to manya, which is nae. The same people. Guess who was running around doing my BVR form? Because some people are still what they always do is hey, I'm a BVR, and then when it comes down to doing the job, they don't do it. They never do it. So guess who took over the job? The churches started passing around my BVR underground all the time. And it's like we have the same problem every single time. And then now people are talking about reform. If I were to show you the WhatsApp messages, the emails, the way I used to terrorize these people, my electoral reform, and they still don't do it. And then now they run around like ballot printing, wasting people's time. Instead of taking people to the polling stations to make sure that they check if their name is on the voter roll, they're busy talking about ballot printing. As you know, Zeki is saying that they're going to maybe add more polling stations, add more confusion to the mix.
Okay.
Always something. It's always something. People shouldn't be shocked on election day, which is the day after election. I think people are going to have heart attacks in Zimbabwe in shock.
All right.
People need to learn scrutiny.
Okay.
You have to start paying attention. When something affects your life, you need to pay attention to it. So that you can actually
Yes.
all the time.
Okay, right. Okay, thank you so much for that. Thank you so much. Well said. Right. We want to wrap up, but sekuru muchipoira.
Ndiripo mzukuru.
Ndikufunga kuti makotsira kudhara, or you are thinking of what Arsenal are going to do next?
Arsenal hatisati takukurukura iko zvino, kana ratanga ndichakuudza mzukuru.
Aiwa, patsvene sekuru. Thank you so much. Are you going to vote at this time?
Yes.
You are going?
Yes.
All right. Andinoziva kuti nyaya yedheti rataurwa iri, was there anything mamuchifunga kuti ndo dheti richaitwa here kana kuti it came as a blue gwamuri?
No, I knew that the election will be any time between 23 July and 23 August, so it's within that period.
It's within that period, so you are happy with that announcement there?
Yeah.
Aiwa, thank you so much. Chief Sodza.
Iripo baba.
Yeah, because Chief Sodza, what are they saying on the ground? What are the consensus? Where is the wind going?
Kutaura chokwadi vanhu vese vari kumusha uku vari kutaura kuti opposition iri kupinda gore rino.
Okay.
Ndo zviri kutaurwa paground. But vanhu vari paground ivo vanenge vasina mamwe mafacts atinawo nekuziva zvimwe zvatiri kuona izvo zvatinenge tichiona. But I don't want to deny the fact that almost everyone I have spoken to, they are all saying this time is our time.
Okay. Thank you so much. Mukoma teach.
Yes, Mukoma Sodza.
Mukoma teach. Someone asked me a question the other day. Nai Mukoma Sodza. Chokwadi vanhu munoiuya moita show yenye politics. Munofunga here imi kuti vanhu vakaita sana Chiwenga nana Munangagwa wakatora masimba nepfuti, wangabvumira here an opposition person to take over Zimbabwe, yet they are at the disposal of a gun?
That question Mukoma Sodza affect maZimbabweans ese. Kuti musi unodyiwa ZANU rigging yazofaila at last. Will they be willing to let the power go? Inini ndinoti hongu. Because once paita opposition ine the wherewithal to actually overcome the institutional corruption that runs right across the national fabric is being ZANUfied. Opposition party iyoyo inototora power nekuti even masoja acho anenge akutoziva kuti aiwa masambasiya. At the moment, as you can see, opposition is just chasing the tail. Hakuna kana any institutional capacity in the opposition, whether any influence with the police or the security services or the civil service or the other quasi-governmental organizations, parastatals and so on. They are all very, very ZANUfied. Saka, musi wekuti opposition ichawina elections, overcoming all the institutional problems of Anazeki, and you can see that's why Mofu Tobayo Mdede is not being retired, because right now he's working as a consultant for ZEC in terms of all these voters rule, etc. They don't have that previous experience, so they're relying on the Registrar General's people for this voters roll. And all this registration that has been going on, before. So institutionally, there is institutional collaboration of ZANU-fied national institutions. So if any opposition party does succeed to jump over all such obstacles and actually wins an election that is proclaimed as having been won by the opposition, hakuna nova stop kutora power. Because at that time it means that my institutions that are behind all this power retention, they will have defeated a system, not just ZANU-PF. In Zimbabwe, we have to defeat the system because the system is endemic within the whole fabric of government institutions. So opposition needs to think way beyond just mobilizing the masses at rallies and popularity. They need to have a situation whereby they are looking at institutional change. That's where the issue we were talking about reforms, that such things as the requirements for independent constitutional bodies should be taken to parliament by the members of parliament of the opposition, or failure to which taken to the constitutional court. If you see right now, Mnangagwa has built an anti-corruption unit in his own office. Now, we all know that anti-corruption in Zimbabwe is a constitutional matter or a constitutional body under the Zimbabwe Anti-Corruption Commission, ZAC, that is supposed to prosecute anyone from across the political divide. It's supposed to be an independent institution, which means opposition legislators also have oversight on its independence. But right now, Mnangagwa has gone and created this little unit where you will use it not to prosecute anyone like you and me, Mkoma said, but to prosecute his political enemies within ZANU-PF. And if that needs be, you will also use it to prosecute even members of the opposition. So the problem that we have, I'm afraid to say this because it will sound arrogant, but it's political shallowness. And this is the problem that we've had. When we criticize Chamisa, everyone just says, oh, you're anti-Chamisa, you're anti-MDC, you're too ZANU, you've been too long in ZANU, you can't tell us what to do. But we know the tricks of ZANU. This is the advantage you should actually be taking advantage of. Our criticism is based on bona fide, real internal workings of ZANU-PF. And right now, all we can tell is that Chamisa can do all his hyperbole and enjoy himself out there. But as long as ZANU-PF has got the institutional power, it's going to be a hard task for him to say he's won the election. Just like that, before we even talk about him taking any power or any oath of presidential office. So our opposition is too much more homely, I'm afraid. And I can tell you, let me make a prediction, so that I'm sorry I may be taking too much time. What is happening right now, ZANU-PF is definitely going to be in power by hook or crook. There's no question about that in my mind. All I'm just really hoping for is that MDC can ensure that they don't get a two-thirds majority. That's all I'm praying. I'm just praying the opposition parties can at least stop the two-thirds majority that allows ZANU-PF to play around with the constitution. That's my winning. Chamisa has no chance in hell.
Right. Okay.
That's how I see it.
Okay.
So taking power is more than just taking power after an election victory. There's institutional, endemic institutional ZANUification that has to be overcome.
Thank you so much, Mkoma Teach, for that. Teteros.
Yes?
Teteros. I've got a question, listeners. I don't know, maybe you might want to answer it. Kwanzi, why is Teteros so emotional about things?
For me, I'm not a person who ever gets into something, gets involved halfway with something. If I get involved, I get involved. I got involved with Zimbabwe and I gave it everything I could. And I got to know every single one of these players. And I've listened to them, and I've learned so much. And I've learned so much from even dealing with the people. Even I can't stand my activists in Zimbabwe because I know they're Lacoste because I dealt with them. It's not support ED. But they were always supporting him. And this thing, what makes me really angry is I'm not a politician. I didn't get into this because I was a politician. I'm a citizen. It's strictly from a humanitarian standpoint. This is what I can't deal with because people's lives must continue even when they're playing politics. And that's I can't. When it comes to certain people, I can't deal with a certain person. It's because I can't deal with that person. I can't deal with Chamisa because Chamisa IT blocker when we were trying to register people. So I don't understand how he can be serious about winning an election now. Oh. I can't deal with activists because they did a lot of bad things. And I know they were supporting ED. So this is from my experience and it makes me emotional and angry. Because the politics in Zimbabwe will go on, ZANU-PF will remain. But people will continue suffering. And they'll continue suffering because we keep listening to people who are partaking in our suffering. And that makes me so angry. When are we going to start waking up and putting two and two together? You know what? There's making a mistake. When I make a mistake, 1-2 times when I make a mistake. But the third time we need to start questioning, is it a mistake here? They cannot, there's something else. Because how can someone keep making the same mistake over and over again? Is this now? Because that means they're incompetent. So they shouldn't have the job.
Okay. Right.
That was intentionally, so therefore they shouldn't have the job. So either way, they shouldn't have the job.
Okay. No, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Tete. Mukoma Wilbert.
Hello, sir.
Yeah, who is going to win this election?
ZANU-PF. I mean, these elections are being rigged clearly. You know, if anyone opens their eyes, they can see that the elections are being rigged. It's just a formality. The result is already a foregone conclusion here.
Done and dusted.
Oh yeah, I mean, you know, if you seriously think ZANU-PF will lose these elections when they've got all the opportunities to rig the elections at every level, I think you're not being realistic. Mm-hmm. You know, there is no way ZANU-PF can rig the election and lose the same election. It's impossible.
All right. Okay, thank you so much. Mkoma Benford, 2 words from you there. Who is going to win this election?
Yeah, DJ Sodza, I'll be honest with you. ZANU-PF is going to win, but not because of rigging. This is where I differ with Wilbert. It's not because of rigging. If you follow the discussion that we've had on this program, you find that initially people were blaming ZANU-PF. As we progressed, people are beginning to realize that the opposition is disorganized. And you find that as the date is getting closer and closer, you even have strong supporters like Wana Rosi, Wana Sekuru, dissociating themselves from the opposition. So in this case, I find it ironical that we would still insist on ZANU-PF rigging when we are all in agreement that the opposition is in disarray, and you know the house is in disorder, is in disarray here. So, in as much as ZANU-PF would want to rig, this election, there's no need for them to rig, thanks to an organization, an opposition that is pathetic. You know, it's all I can say. They had a realistic chance of winning this election. I can tell you, people on the ground, they were willing to change things. But as each day passes on, the opposition is proving that they're incapable of leading the country, and as such, people will vote for ZANU-PF.
Yeah, people vote for ZANU-PF. Seville.
I think a point of correction there, DJ. I think when it comes to chaos in the opposition, no one can deny that. But also we should be, very clear that there is also chaos in ZANU-PF. if you look at what happened in November, what could be worse than that? When you have got
November is not chaos, Wilbert.
No. You can call it what you like, but when you stage a coup, that is serious stuff.
A party coup. It wasn't a country coup. It was an inter-party coup. It was a coup within a party. That's what people are
and
forgetting.
Zimbabweans supported a coup within
It was a
party.
coup within a party. ZANU-PF was cooing against ZANU-PF.
Yes.
Supported by the opposition and the people of Zimbabwe.
Solve their own problems. That's what we should have done with them.
They were fighting within themselves.
Right. Okay. Finish. Seguru. Saka Seguru hanzi muri kuZimbabwe imimi monzi wanachamisa chete chete vari kunyepa. Saka kwanzi the only credible candidate in Zimbabwe as we speak is ED Pfe. Zviri kutaurwa na mukoma Benford izvo. Munowirirana sei?
No, Benford ari kutaura zvekuAmerica haasi kutaura zvekuZimbabwe. KuZimbabwe kune vanhu vanotambura. Saka mavhotera avo ngavachavhota kutambura kwavo. So I won't be surprised kana ma-elections angatwa credible. Munhu angagwa akadyiwa. Asi tikafactor in issue yemasoja nerigging. Zvinoratidza sokunge munhu achabirirwa zvokuti achashaya kuti ndabirirwa papi. Ndo zvandinoona. Izvi zvokuti isusu taita dissociate with the opposition. Kunyepa. I will never support the ZANU-PF regime.
Sekuru muchikwatamisa here Sekuru?
Thank you, Sekuru. No matter what, hatifetaka supporta ZANU-PF. Nangwe nhasi ndikandichienda unovhota ndinonovhotera iye Chamisa wacho nekunituka kwandinenge ndichiti. Handinofanira ZANU-PF no matter what.
Izvi zviri kutaurwa naBenford zvekuti muri kwaChamisa here kana kuti Chamisa is not the opposition. The opposition is people who are disgruntled with the ZANU-PF rule. And vanhu ivavo vakawanda kudarika vezanu. So to be quite honest,
pane dzimwe opposition dzakaita sana Ngosana Moyo dzokutambisa mavhoti zvesekuru.
Aiwa izvo zvinoitika chete kana tarega vachitambisa mavhoti acho. Asi kana tikataurirana navo tikavapa wisdom yatave nayo yatagara nayo akabvuma kuteerera wisdom yatave nayo nokutambura kwaita vanhu, zvinogona kuti a day in politics can change a vote in Zimbabwe. Saka don't rule out anything at the present moment. It's too early. It's early days yet. So as far as I am concerned, I still pray kuti dai Mwari atarira vana vake vari muZimbabwe vakaona kuti dambudziko ravo riri mavari, kwete kubva kuZANU. ZANU haiziyo problem yavo yave ivo pachavo, because vakubuda urute, vanhu vari muopposition vakuvhima vakaisa sauti mhiripiri, votora mapureti emapepa aya voisa muhomwe, votora matches voenda kunovhima. Hadzimuki mhuka dzacho. Saka vakangorasa sauti yavo nemhiripiri dzavo idzi vakajoinana vakangoti toda kubvisa ZANU inobva in one day.
Right. Sekuru, with that note, Zimbabwe, our time is gone here. So zvatakuita panapa isusu totika vakamboonana havashayani mukurarama. We shall meet again the next week, same time, same place, talking Zimbabwe in politics, and hopefully in the next week we'll have a lot of stuff coming out of Zimbabwe that we'll be discussing next Thursday here on your beloved show. My thanks to those that have participated on the show, as always the panelists, and also those who have been listening from home there. I got a text message from one Australia. It's 5 a.m. in the morning, and they put on an alarm to wake up to listen to this show. It just gives us courage to come back and air the show next week as well. Because if we don't, I personally feel that I've let those people down by not turning up. So if I'm in good health, I will certainly turn up. But pasina vana mazvikokota imimi munouya also the panelists, really the show will be closed. That I cannot stress enough. So
and you didn't even ask me the same question you asked everybody else.
What question was it?
I'm the forgotten one.
What question was it?
Who's going to win?
Who is going to win? I know you know that it's ZANU-PF. That's what you're going to say. So Sally, I was not going to ask you that.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's
but
okay.
anyway.
Even I was not asked that question.
That's all right. No, it's okay.
Yeah, but you see, I know you two. I know your answers, so I thought it was pointless.
Yeah, that's all right. No, it's fine.
Yeah,
it's fine.
No,
I boycott. I boycott. I boycott. Finish. End of story.
I was asking asking people different questions, guys. Yes.
Yeah.
I woman cut.
And I still believe opposition could win if they get their stuff together.
Yeah, but they are not.
No, I'm not saying anything. I'm woman cutting. I'm not boycotting. I'm woman cutting the boys.
Oh, okay. That's fair enough. Fair enough, sir. Fair enough, sir. Yeah.
I'm not strikey.
DJ, for 2 months, there is a lot that is going to happen in the next 2 months.
Okay.
There are a lot of changes, a lot of twists and turns that are going to come.
Right.
Saka, Dr. Benford is going to continue fighting. We are going to do.
Yeah, but listen, you're forgetting something.
The voice of
ZANU-PF
people on the ground is greater
Chief
than the
Soswe.
voice of Tamisa and Mnangagwa
Chief
combined.
Soswe, you're forgetting something.
Yeah.
ZANU-PF have to, not need to, they have to be in power. Because everything that they own and that they use, from the toilet paper to the cars, to the education of their children, is got through how? Through corruption, through being in power. So they have to stay in power.
And I think, but I also think Zimbabweans
Don't
at this
ever
point,
forget
especially
that.
the young people, they have to win. The young people in Zimbabwe, just talking to young people, it's not going to be peaceful. No, I'm telling you. These young kids have.
We should not undermine the
They
power
have
of the people.
stayed so much.
Chief Soswe, I have backed the people too many times and I've been kicked down too many times. Now,
you are going to be surprised, Sally. You are going to be surprised. The people are going to
I'm too
rise this
old
time
to be
around.
surprised.
Watch this space. Watch this space, Sally. Watch this space, Sally.
Hakuna hondo inoitika kuZimbabwe, forget it.
You know something?
Ladies and gentlemen,
okay?
that is the end of this entertainment.
When I was still living in Zimbabwe and I was in Masvingo, and it came time for the mayor, I was involved with Munyaradzi and Simba Makoni and all those guys, okay? And they said to me, why don't you run as mayoress of Masvingo? I said, huh? They said, yeah, you could do it. The mayor of Masvingo, I'll never forget, he had the first, I called it butter special taxi. It was a Peugeot 404 station wagon, okay? And he used to pack people inside there. You couldn't even get a hair inside, okay? There were so many people. But if you looked down at the floor, you could see the road passing by. So anyway, and today he's one of the richest men in Masvingo. So anyway, they said to me, no, you run, we support you, blah, 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 all this kind of business. We'll help you, all this kind of business. I said, no way. Because you know what? There are people there that say, okay, Sally, we'll be behind you. We know that you'll fight for Masvingo. That's where you grew up, blah, 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 blah. We'll vote for you, everything. I know for a fact that the minute I go stand there and I tell them, right, I'm running for mayor, now it's time to vote. Okay, ZANU-PF is going to do something, and all those people are going, mwah, and I'm going to be standing there like a spock.
Okay.
So I said,
Ladies and gentlemen, that is the end.
Right,
No, stop messing about.